Steven Spielberg could be responsible for a curse that all started with a movie. His series Poltergeist has claimed the lives of several actors, including a 12-year-old actress named Heather Rourke. Jim Carrey has tried to expose the dark side of the industry. He's put his life at risk to give us hints on what to expect, like the Illuminati controlling our lives and forcing us into calculated narratives.
Well, I thought I was done talking about Sloan, but I guess my work here isn't done. Oh boy. So for those who may not know who Sloan is a relatively popular channel on YouTube that presents himself as a journalist talking about different figures in the film and entertainment industry overall. However, rather than actually dissecting people in the entertainment industry that need to be called out, he seems to just make up a lot of different conspiracy theories about people that he knows are beloved figures. Some notable examples are when he talked about Tom Hanks and tried to claim he was a child molester without actually showing any evidence to prove this whatsoever. In fact, he ended up citing Isaac Cappy, a known QAnon conspiracy theorist, as his source for the fact that he thought Tom Hanks was a child molester, which is pretty bad. Isaac Cappy, for those that don't know, was an actor that at one point ended up on Alex Jones's show InfoWars to try to spread conspiracy theories about Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, and Seth Green. Needless to say, it didn't go over very well, and even as crazy of a person as Alex Jones is, even he was questioning the stuff that Isaac Cappy brought up.
Here's the data dump, okay? Let's just be really concise about it. Seth Green, at his house, after a party, we were all kind of drinking, pulled back a secret bookshelf and said to me, "This is where we keep the children." A month later, Seth tells me at the dinner table, we need to have a talk about chicken. And in case you're not aware, chicken is a code word for very young child.
So I'm telling you, I've learned how this works. You blow up a gas well. If an oil well's on fire, Red would roll a bomb in to blow it up. So you use a bomb of fakeness to blow up the real fire. Right. And I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm saying I have oceans of real pedophilia, okay? Confirmed.
This is real pedophilia, buddy.
Someone's saying chicken at dinner.
You didn't even
listen to the James Gunn says he likes to have sex with little girls. He's drooling. We have proof he should be criminally investigated like Senator Cruz says. So I'm all about what people actually did. They lie about me all over the news. Show me, what did he say to you? Other than, let's talk about chicken.
He said, let's talk about chicken. He then confirmed that he's into children, which I said earlier. I asked him.
Okay, what did he say? Tell me. Good. Tell me. Not good that he did it. I want what he said. Give me the bona fides. What did he say?
Tom Hanks and Oprah are just two at the very top of an elite group of people who control everything we see and do. They feed upon children in order to maintain their elite status.
Man, imagine the stuff you're saying being so crazy that even Alex Jones is calling you into question. This is just absolutely wild. In addition to this, Sloan tried to claim that Steven Spielberg assaulted Ariana Richards on the set of Jurassic Park, but inevitably he failed to produce any evidence for this claim as well. Shocker. Instead, he chose to cite a blind item from the site Crazy Days and Nights, which, if you didn't know, has its own sense of controversy to it as well. And despite neither Spielberg nor Richards being mentioned in this blind item, he tried to act like the whole thing was about them for some reason. Sloan's entire gimmick is that he takes one piece of information and more or less goes full conspiracy theory with it, often blowing it far out of proportion and trying to create drama out of nothing. Instead of actually talking about people in Hollywood that should be discussed and debunked and called out for bad behavior, he doesn't really seem like he wants to do this whatsoever. He'd rather just come up with crazy conspiracy theories about people that he knows are beloved figures simply for clout and clicks. In my last video on Sloan, I discussed how he lied about Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, and Walt Disney, and all very provably as well. Unlike Sloan, who doesn't really seem to cite his sources at all, I actually cited all of them for him. I uncovered a lot of the conspiracy theory websites where he gets a lot of his claims from, and I also talked about the book The Men Who Would Be King, which is about the founding of DreamWorks and talks a lot about Steven Spielberg in that book. Inevitably, it was very easy to debunk Sloan, but it seems he has even more videos that are probably worth covering here. It looks like not only has he made another video lying about Steven Spielberg yet again, but he's also done videos lying about James Gunn and Jim Carrey, among many others. So today, I want to look at these other claims he's made on Steven Spielberg, show you exactly where he blatantly lies here, and also talk about the other claims he's made on other people as well. Before we tackle the Spielberg claims, however, I think it'll actually be interesting to start this off looking at Sloan's videos on Jim Carrey. He's actually done a number of videos on the famed comedic actor, and of course, a lot of them get pretty nutty, with one of them claiming that the Illuminati exposed Jim Carrey. Oh boy. I thought we left the Illuminati back in 2016, but I guess not, and apparently Sloan isn't even treating it as a meme, he actually believes this stuff. Good God. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Jim Carrey has tried to expose the dark side of the industry. He's put his life at risk to give us hints on what to expect, like the Illuminati controlling our lives and forcing us into calculated narratives. Fans of Jim's claim that after he spoke out, they forced him to retire and to hide away. So let's get into it. I think we can all admit that Jim Carrey is an interesting man, and he's had some bizarre moments throughout his career. There have been times where he has spoken about the industry and the so-called Illuminati, which has led fans to speculate whether Jim is trying to share what's really going on behind the scenes. Like in a moment during Fashion Week where a reporter asked him, like, how are you doing, Jim Carrey? And he went on this tangent saying that none of this matters. Like, I'm not like real, like nothing is going on here. And it really rubbed people the wrong way because it seemed like he was completely discrediting like what he was attending and the fact that they were all like celebrities and that they are people of importance. To be honest, I think it's a good move when a celebrity acts humble because it makes them more likable. But Jim Carrey took it to a next level, which made it seem like he was trying to expose something else.
You know, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join. And here I am.
They're celebrating.
I mean, you got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in
boy,
icons?
that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have the power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others? Artistry? You're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah. You shut it down now. Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself.
Now, maybe Jim is getting all spiritual, talking about his energies and that we're all just energy in the world.
Alright, so right off the bat, Sloan takes Jim Carrey joking around on the red carpet here way too seriously. He acts like Jim is exposing something when no, that's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. This is the man who made a name for himself being zany both on and off camera. How are you taking any of this seriously? Like, I feel like I shouldn't even have to say any of this, but it feels like Sloan hasn't actually ever seen a Jim Carrey movie or something. Funny he's choosing to report on a figure that he already seems to be not really that knowledgeable on and how he generally acts on a daily basis.
I'm going to go off on a little tangent, but I remember learning about Satanism, and Satanism is all about like self-worship. That's essentially the basis of it from my understanding. And the way that he's speaking about like the icons and things like that, it kind of reminds me of like how in their, I guess, beliefs, they like to self-worship and trying to, I guess, like present yourself as an icon is, somewhat sort of like that.
Are you fucking dumb?
Wait, what? So now you're implying that Jim Carrey is a Satanist for just being Jim Carrey? What in the world is going on here? Sloan throws out the pretty extreme suggestion of Jim Carrey being a Satanist, and that's why he's saying all this stuff, but A, no, that's not true at all. It's pretty clear Jim Carrey is just being Jim Carrey. But B, Sloan also, yet again, shows no evidence to actually support this claim whatsoever. Like I said before, this is Sloan's entire shtick. He will make extreme conclusions about somebody, usually a famous figure, and then not really show any evidence at all to back up what he's claiming. This is so dumb. How can you claim Jim Carrey's a Satanist for acting zany on the red carpet? Oh my gosh, we're already off to a rough start here.
I don't want to like go and just like jump to a conclusion here, but the way that he is speaking on it, I mean, I'm sure his PR manager was freaking out behind the scenes.
You got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No, I didn't.
Was that
get
an
dressed
accident?
up. I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream?
There's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happening in our world right now? Because there is a lot of news that actually is relevant that's not that
Here's
uplifting.
the thing. It's not our world.
None
That's
of
the
this is
key.
real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
Okay.
Honestly, good job to that reporter, because I don't know if I would be able to handle him that well, because he is kind of speaking a bunch of nonsense. And really, I mean, do you think she wants to hear his story? Probably not. She's just there to, ask these questions. She doesn't really have a great answer to him about what the world is and why it doesn't matter. Though this moment went viral and he had to answer for it. And he went on to say that he's really just speaking about the characters that he plays in his life as an actor, saying that you have this separation between yourself and the role you play. And essentially, like, he doesn't even believe Jim Carrey is a person. It's like another character that he's playing, which almost kind of sounds like a little bit like personality disorder. But like, I mean, you know that these actors use method acting a lot of the times, and it can mess with their mental health, putting themselves in these positions.
Wow, okay, so now you've gone from Sloan trying to claim that Jim Carrey is a Satanist with no evidence to trying to diagnose Jim Carrey with a mental disorder with also no evidence. This is just getting worse by the minute here. For those unaware, Jim Carrey was actually diagnosed as a child with ADHD and for a long time has been a big advocate for ADHD in general. He's actually been one of the most outspoken celebrities on his experience with ADHD, and as a result, it helps a lot of other people with ADHD feel seen as well. But Sloan doesn't really seem to realize that at all, and instead tries to jump to the conclusion of Jim Carrey having a personality disorder, which is entirely different from ADHD. This is honestly really dangerous and completely misrepresenting what Jim Carrey actually has. Maybe if Sloan actually did research on Jim Carrey and his neurodivergency, he would realize this, but unfortunately, it's very clear he didn't.
So obviously that red carpet clip can be interpreted many different ways, but there was a moment on national television where he brought up the Illuminati, and there's no denying that he's talking about this group. So Jim went on to Jimmy Kimmel and he walked onto stage with the Illuminati triangle right there out in the open, trying to show everyone what it's about. The crowd was of course screaming. We don't know if they were screaming because of Jim Carrey or because of the symbol and seeing it actually in real life put into our face. I mean, we see the triangles all the time secretly, but he just wanted the entire world to know and to talk about it. And to be honest, if it is a real group, I wonder what the ramifications would be for Jim going on national TV and making a mockery of it. Okay, that is awkward, even for Jim Carrey. And of course, Jimmy Kimmel had his questions asking like, what is that? And then Jim Carrey tried to play dumb, saying, you know what it is. And again, alluding to the secret group that maybe Jimmy Kimmel is also a part of.
Yeah, so it seems Sloan unironically believes in the Illuminati of all things. Things were bad enough last time when he was referencing Isaac Cappy, the QAnon conspiracy theorist, as a reliable source, but now things have gotten even worse with him actively saying he thinks the Illuminati are real. And apparently he thinks Jim Carrey, of all people, doing this comedic bit on the set of Jimmy Kimmel is him being the whistleblower for the Illuminati. This is so stupid. I can't believe people actually believe this stuff. I find it so funny that these kinds of people will try to blame Jewish people or aliens or the Illuminati as the source of life's problems instead of actually blaming things like the 1%, real problems in life.
But when you watch this clip, keep in mind, what is in it for Jim Carrey? What is the purpose of him just going on national TV and trying to bring this up and calling out other show hosts saying that they don't know the symbol, so why are they playing dumb?
What is that exactly? Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is.
You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right?
Now, there is one thing I don't get about Jim Carrey's hand gesture is why his tongue is involved. Typically, the triangle has an eye in the middle, so it would be a little bit more like this, not like that.
Oh my gosh, he's hyper-analyzing Jim Carrey's tongue now. This is ridiculous. Sloan is so deep down the conspiracy theorist rabbit hole, and it's honestly kind of concerning that people actually believe this stuff that he says in his videos when he's saying things like this. He also has yet to actually show any definitive proof of the Illuminati that he apparently so believes in actually existing at all, beyond showing a bunch of different photos of different celebrities doing similar poses with their hands. Like, I feel like I shouldn't have to explain just how ridiculous this is, but Sloan is actually believing this stuff and perpetuating these conspiracy theories to his audience. It's honestly really mind-blowing, and even more so when you consider the fact that he doesn't actually ever show any evidence to back up these theories whatsoever. Yet he goes ahead and presents all these things as if they're objective fact. It's honestly insane.
Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
Oh. I like it.
It's hard to take Jim Carrey seriously, and to be honest, watching this, it just seems kind of like a bit, like the Illuminati, and he's acting all wild and crazy.
Yeah, cause it is a bit. What do you know? Like, holy cow, I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this, but Sloan is just so dense to the fact that Jim Carrey is joking here.
Hold on. They're trying to turn us into, consumer drones of some sort. Hold on, I just got to get this.
And yeah.
Yeah, listen, I'm in the middle of blowing the lid off some...
What happened?
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I was temporarily interrupted by my iPhone 6 Plus. That's 5.5.
That's a big one, huh?
5.5 heads-up HD display. I think what I was really trying to say was I think people will enjoy Dumb and Dumber this weekend.
And that is what I thought
They should all go to the theater. They should all go to the theater tomorrow and see it.
They should.
Because we could use a good laugh. Ha, 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 ha.
Okay, honestly, am I the only one that doesn't really think he's that funny? I mean, I've seen some of his older movies, and yeah, his acting, but like this is just giving like, it's where you're just acting awkward, and the awkwardness is what is funny, not actually the words itself.
I love how Sloan switches from praising Jim Carrey for quote-unquote blowing the lid off the Illuminati to making fun of him and trying to claim he's not a good actor or comedian. Especially after the pretty disgusting comments he tried to make about his mental condition and also misdiagnosing him, it's honestly pretty clear where Sloan's priorities are really lying here. But also, he still takes this whole thing seriously, and look, even Jimmy Kimmel is doing the thing. He literally has his hands in a triangle shape with a tongue through it. How is Sloan not seeing this is a big joke? I feel like that fake phone call should have been a dead giveaway to Sloan that this whole thing is a giant bit, but he just doesn't get it. It would be really funny if it wasn't so sad that he actually believes this stuff. Overall, throughout the entirety of this video, Sloan failed to really substantiate any of the claims that he made about Jim Carrey, as extreme as they were. At the start, he tried to claim that Jim Carrey had a personality disorder and didn't show any evidence for this whatsoever, which, as I stated before, is a pretty dangerous thing, knowing Jim Carrey actually has ADHD. In addition to this, despite the fact that Sloan seems so hell-bent on saying the Illuminati exists and that Jim Carrey is a whistleblower for them, he didn't show any evidence at all that they exist. Literally, the best he could do was show a bunch of photos of celebrities making the same pose with their hands and then show a bit video of Jim Carrey on Jimmy Kimmel. Funny he tried to claim that Jim Carrey isn't a good actor, because apparently he did enough of a good acting job to completely dupe Sloan. Although, to be fair, given a lot of the stuff Sloan tends to fall for, I guess this isn't really that impressive of an achievement. But believe it or not, this isn't the only video that Sloan has made on Jim Carrey. Oh no. He's also done a video where he tries to claim that Jim Carrey and Ariana Grande are in a relationship together and that Ariana Grande stole drugs from Jim Carrey. Yes, this is somehow a real video he made, and you guessed it, he didn't show any evidence to try and prove this again. Let's take a look at what he had to say in that video here.
As you guys know, Jim Carrey is a huge star, and so is Ariana Grande. She took her Nickelodeon career and turned it into a major music career. Even though these are two very big stars, I don't think people really imagine them together or dating or possibly sleeping with each other. But there have been rumors of this for years now.
You don't want to give in, you don't want to be afraid, but you know, it's still there.
A lot of people thought you weren't going to perform again.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to either.
People have tried to clickbait this relationship between Ariana and Jim, but in today's video, we're going to break down everything we know that's happened between them. Let's start off with the blind items, because that's where the rumors really started. If you guys don't know what a blind item is, it's usually an anonymous tip, and this one comes from Crazy Days and Nights, which is run by a lawyer named Inti. In some cases, he reveals who the blind item is about, and in this case, it's about Jim Carrey and Ariana. So let's go ahead and break it down. August 5th, 2019. Of course, the former A-list, mostly movie actor, loves the A-list singer. They hooked up and she kissed his ass and took his drugs. Which, okay, that's a lot.
Actually, you don't have any proof at all that anything happened between Ariana Grande and Jim Carrey of all people. For those unaware about this site that Sloan is pulling this information from, it's called Crazy Days and Nights, and it's essentially a gossip forum where a lot of people go to talk about unnamed celebrities, or supposedly. Generally, it ends up just being sort of a site where a lot of people hate monger over certain celebrities that they personally don't like, and a lot of nasty rumors tend to get spread here, and a lot of nasty comments as well. If we actually look at the text that Sloan is quoting from this site here, neither Jim Carrey nor Ariana Grande are actually mentioned here whatsoever. All this text that Sloan is talking about here only talks about an A-plus lister who often stars in movies and an A-list singer. There's not even any names mentioned here whatsoever, but for some reason Sloan is already taking this pretty flimsy information and platforming it like it's about these two people. And funny enough, if we scroll to the comments, we can see a lot of comments trying to talk about Jim Carrey and Ariana Grande as well, and a lot of them are pretty nasty. Like this one here talking about him making creepy faces while they're in bed together and her asking about donuts. Kinda seems pretty blatant that people aren't actually here in good faith whatsoever and also don't really care about journalistic integrity, much like Sloan. Makes sense he of all people would be in love with this site, especially given the fact the site Crazy Days and Nights already has its own sense of controversy as well. For those unaware, this site is run by the Californian attorney John Robert Nelson, who in 2018 actually unsuccessfully ran for Congress as a progressive Democrat. However, just last year, a lot of information came out about John Robert Nelson as testified by his former mistress, that being Cassandra Crowe. John Robert Nelson received a lot of allegation of abuse from his former lover and currently is still locked in a pretty intense court battle over this. Ironically enough, the person who runs the drama site has their own scent of drama themselves. So Sloan continuing to cite a website that is run by somebody like this really is not a good look whatsoever. But it looks even dumber when the people he's bringing up aren't even mentioned in the text at all. This has gotta be some of the worst celebrity journalism I've ever seen.
So clearly those are some pretty big claims, but we don't get too much information or the details. Looking at the comments, there are some mixed reviews. Someone wrote, "I'm not surprised about Jim Carrey because of what he did to his ex," which if you have not seen that video, he pretty much like left her to die and overdose. Ew, this one, I have a nice collection Miss Grande can dip into as long as she offers me something to dip into.
Wow, alright then. You think if Sloan was reading comments like this, he'd realize that people aren't here in good faith, but then again, like I said before, he's not here in good faith either, so I guess it cancels out. Some of the other delightful comments down here try to claim that Jim Carrey brought COVID over from Africa and also call Ariana Grande a donut-licking skank. Gee, real classy, guys. Huh, well, funny enough, neither of them are actually mentioned in this text at all, yet you're acting like this is all about them. For some reason, despite neither neither Ariana Grande nor Jim Carrey either being mentioned in this text at all, Sloan has taken this bit of text and spun this whole narrative about Ariana Grande stealing Jim Carrey's drugs. He's just straight up lying here. This is ridiculous.
The drugs just seems like super random. So really this blind item is not only exposing them supposedly hooking up, but also using drugs together. And they don't mention which kind of drug.
Once again, Sloan decides to cite another blind item that, to nobody's surprise, doesn't mention either Ariana Grande or Jim Carrey in it. Wow, shocker. Literally all this text says is these next blinds continue into 2020. This A-list singer might have been public with a guy this week, but that doesn't mean she isn't hooking up with a former A-list, mostly movie comeback actor who used to be the highest paid actor in the world. Once again, neither of the people that Sloan is talking about in this video and that seem to be the main topic in general here are actually mentioned in this blind item. Blind items are already a dumb thing to cite as a source to begin with, but it looks even dumber when the people that you're trying to talk about aren't even mentioned there. Despite the entire premise of this video being Sloan trying to prove that Ariana Grande and Jim Carrey were in some kind of relationship, he has yet to actually do that at all. He has shown no evidence to support this claim in the least.
It's another creepy blind item. Jim has a history with women who have needed mental health help and drug addictions. So it shouldn't be a shock that this former A-list, mostly movie actor, despite supposedly being in a relationship with a dependent co-star, is doing his best to hook up with this A-list singer who has showed interest in the actor. If you've seen her lately, it doesn't seem like she's doing too well. I just thought about that because we were talking about the drug use and stuff, and I don't really see Ariana as a user, but lately she has been looking quite thin. I'm not trying to pick on her body. It's literally, people are really being nasty on the internet about it, but it looks like she could be struggling, and maybe that has to do with addiction issues. I mean, Hollywood is so hard on celebrities, so I mean, a lot of them go through eating disorders, but drug addictions are a thing too.
Wait, what? So now Sloan is taking the point that he talked about before with Ariana Grande supposedly taking drugs from Jim Carrey, which he didn't prove at all, and then he tries to jump off of this point that he failed to prove by trying to claim that Ariana's weight is fluctuating because of drug use. What even? He took a point that he didn't even prove at all to begin with and tried to make another point off of that and failed to prove that too. This is absolutely abysmal reporting here. Like I said before, there are definitely people in Hollywood that should be spoken out against and exposed, but it's very clear Sloan doesn't actually want to do that. All he wants to do is try to make extreme claims about different people in Hollywood, sometimes some of the better people in Hollywood like Tom Hanks or Steven Spielberg, and fail to substantiate any of those claims while also often spreading some pretty dangerous conspiracy theories too.
So she's been thinking about this man ever since the 4th grade. And when Ariana Grande got to meet him, she made a huge deal about it and even posted a video of the moment onto her Instagram page.
I mean, I have to.
Hi, Ariana.
Oh my god. She's crying. You've done it.
Shortly after these two met, they were seen together again in person when Ariana and Jim started working together. She guest starred on his show titled Kidding, which I've never seen this show. Comment below if you have seen this show titled Kidding with Jim Carrey. I've never seen any of it before. This was the first time I've heard of it. But in February 2019, she appeared on the show, and it seems like they spent a couple of days together on set.
But if you can see me, how bad can things be?
What do when the barrel that carries you suddenly harries you?
Stick together!
Because Ariana was on his show, they took a photo together and she posted it on Instagram. In that same year, 2019, Ariana posted one of Jim Carrey's quotes about depression on her Instagram stories. After she posted about her struggles with depression, Jim replied and wrote, "I read your lovely mention of me and things I've said about depression. A brilliant teacher and friend, Jim Foster, was OG on the deep rest concept. I admire your openness. I wish you freedom and peace. I feel blessed to have such a gifted admirer. Happy Easter."
Same year, Ari posted one of Jim Carrey's quotes about depression on her Instagram stories. And Jim saw her post and reached out to Ari on Twitter.
Besides those blind items, you guys might see this relationship as just, Ariana is a big fan of Jim's, and that's okay. But there have been other people who have tried to take some of this evidence and frame it as their romantic relationship.
Sloan was trying to claim that because Ariana Grande was on Jim Carrey's show called Kidding, and the fact that both Ariana Grande and Jim Carrey open up about their struggles with depression, and the fact that Ariana Grande has said she's a fan of Jim Carrey previously, he has taken all this and tried to perpetuate the claim that they're in a relationship together just because of these things. This doesn't make any sense at all. Even outside of the blind items he was citing previously, bringing up these things doesn't really indicate at all that Jim Carrey and Ariana Grande are in a relationship together. And it does even less to indicate that Ariana Grande stole drugs from Jim Carrey. Despite the fact that Sloan made all these extreme claims at the start of this video, he didn't really prove any of them at all.
Here's my email if you guys have any other video ideas for me. Let's go ahead and open a P.O. Box package item. So it looks like this is from Janet, and they're from Florida, and actually they're from where I used to be in Florida, which I miss Florida so much. The weather is just so much better in Florida.
Wow, okay, I love how Sloan ends off this video where he very blatantly made up a bunch of stuff about Ariana Grande and Jim Carrey by opening up a P.O. Box package. This is so freaking tasteless. I can't believe this guy, the worst conspiracy theorist LARPing as a journalist that I've ever seen, actually incentivizes people to send him packages. This just makes him look even worse and far more scummy. But believe it or not, Sloan hasn't only lied about both Jim Carrey and Ariana Grande before as well. He's also lied about Steven Spielberg and tried to claim that he caused the death of Heather Rourke of all things. And he's also tried to claim that he's cursed as a Jewish director. Yes, this is somehow real. In my last video on Sloan, I talked about how he was intentionally perpetuating a lot of different anti-Semitic QAnon conspiracy theories about Steven Spielberg. Sloan tried to claim that Spielberg was a assaulter without actually providing any evidence at all, and once again, like I said before, citing Isaac Cappy of all people as a source. He also did this when, funny enough, Steven Spielberg himself was almost the victim of SA during the filming of Amistad in 1997. In the book The Men Who Would Be King, which talks about the founding of DreamWorks, which was a studio that Steven Spielberg was one of the 3 main founders of, it has a chapter detailing the production hell that Amistad went through, and also how during that time Steven Spielberg was almost SA'd by somebody who came into his house with a kit. So trying to claim that someone like Steven Spielberg, someone who is almost the victim of SA himself, is a racist with no actual evidence is in pretty bad taste. And now it looks like he's trying to claim that Steven Spielberg is cursed and caused the death of Heather Rourke. Oh boy, let's see what he had to say here.
Steven Spielberg could be responsible for a curse that all started with a movie. His series Poltergeist has claimed the lives of several actors, including a 12-year-old actress named Heather Rourke. We're going to unpack this curse and the possible reality behind it, so let's get into it. We all know Steven Spielberg. He's made quite a name for himself in Hollywood with his horror movies, but there is a curse that has been following him, and it's associated with his Poltergeist films. Let me give you guys an example. We're going to be talking about Heather Rourke, who lost her life at the age of 12. Now, Heather was born on December 27th in 1975. Heather got into the acting business at a young age because her sister, who was 4 years older than her, was already an actress. Heather went on to star in 2 Poltergeist sequels. In 1987, she filmed Poltergeist 3 in Chicago, wrapping up her time on set that June. She was looking forward to the film's release, telling people at the time, "This one is really good. I think it's the best." But unfortunately for little old Heather, she never got to see the premiere of Poltergeist 3. Let's talk about how Heather Rourke passed away. In 1988, she died from a bowel obstruction that her doctors had previously dismissed as Crohn's disease. Her cause of death was listed as intestinal cyanosis, a congenital condition that had gone undetected since her birth. She died on the operating table at the Children's Hospital of San Diego while surgeons attempted to remove a severe bowel obstruction, which caused septic shock. Oh, that sounds so painful. I just, anyone who goes through this, sending good vibes to you because that sounds really, really terrible.
Good vibes? Really? When somebody's on their deathbed? Come on. Sloan is so painfully fake and disingenuous about everything that it gets to be really ridiculous. The way he's acting about somebody quite literally dying of septic shock is honestly very disgusting. But it's also interesting because through the video's title and obviously through the premise that he laid out at the start of this video, he tries to claim that Steven Spielberg was responsible for Heather Rourke's death. And he also tries to claim that he was responsible for the deaths of the other actors on the film as well. But as he literally just said there, Heather died of septic shock. For those unaware, in 1987, Heather actually contracted the parasitical disease giardiasis from drinking well water near her family's home. This actually got even worse, and subsequently she was diagnosed with having Crohn's disease. This is when she ended up getting rushed to the hospital and where she eventually and sadly died. And Sloan quite literally just admitted this here in this video. So where exactly does Steven Spielberg come into play here? It's already becoming very clear that Sloan just put Steven Spielberg's name in this and tried to claim he was responsible for her death because A, he produced the film, B, he's a big name, and C, he wants to try to spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories on Spielberg again, just like he did the last time. This is so painfully easy to see through, so I don't know why Sloan thinks that people won't fact check him on this stuff and see very easily that he's lying. Funny enough, despite the fact that Sloan tries to claim that Steven Spielberg was using dead bodies on the set of Poltergeist, funny enough, Steven Spielberg actually didn't direct this film. This film was written by Steven Spielberg and initially was going to be directed by him, but at the time, he was actually busy directing E.T. the Extraterrestrial. So as a result, the film was simply produced by him and the directorial duties went on to Tobe Hooper. So as a result, the creative choices of using actual skeletons in this movie, which yes, they did use actual skeletons in Poltergeist, since they got permission from a hospital to use laminated skeletons during this one scene, did not fall upon Steven Spielberg, that was done by Tobe Hooper. So Sloan is just straight up lying here about why the skeletons are in the film to begin with. He has to constantly keep acting like Steven Spielberg is responsible for everything that happened in this film, including the main actress's death, when really that's pretty provably wrong. It's so stupid and so easy to see through, but he keeps doing it anyway.
Everyone who worked with Heather enjoyed her. She was a sweet little actress who knew what she was doing and she never complained. But I want to talk a little bit more about these movies. So there are some theories that this movie, Poltergeist, is cursed. There are some creepy things that happened during filming. Steven Spielberg used real dead bodies and more than one actor passed away. People actually link this curse to Heather's death. Even though it's very medical, they still believe that maybe the curse or something along those lines is what led to her actually passing. And when it comes to Native Americans and all of that, I do not like messing with it. They should have their land. We need to respect them. We love our Native American people. So films like this, they really just get to me.
I love just how disingenuous he sounds during that entire thing. Yeah, sure, Sloan, I'm sure you care about Native Americans, right? The guy who makes his living lying about people and also opening packages from his fans while lying about people clearly cares about Native Americans. How did I not see it before?
Jo Beth Williams, an actress in the film, was quoted saying, "I always assumed that the skeletons were made by the prop department. A few years later, I ran into one of the special effects guys and I said, 'You guys making all those skeletons, that must have been really amazing.' And he said, 'Oh, we didn't make them. Those were real. They were real skeletons that these people were playing around with and acting with.'" Which I feel like that's against some laws. Aren't there laws that protect the remains? I don't know. I've listened to too many crime podcasts.
Wow, Sloan is really showing just how uninformed about the production of this film and also film history and also just basic facets of society that he really is. Like I stated before, these were actual skeletons used in the film, but they were used by permission of a hospital and they were laminated as well. These weren't just raw skeletons that the filmmakers were playing around with like he says here. That is such a stupid thing to say.
Joy Beth said, "I don't know where they bought them from, but that really grossed me out. I'm glad I didn't know that then because I would have been screaming a lot for real." That scene is so disgusting, and she agrees. She said it was really awful. First of all, they made the mud with peat, and peat begins to really stink after about a day. It begins to smell like dog poop, so it was really icky to be in, she says. She said I'd have to scream and I'd think, oh God, I don't want to get this water in my mouth because I'm sure I'd get a terrible disease. Ew. It seems like the cast didn't have an easy time working with Steven Spielberg. I mean, doing all of these really intense scenes, you would think that maybe the director would help comfort them a little bit.
Again, Steven Spielberg didn't direct this film. Maybe if you actually did your research, you know this. Sloan keeps throwing Steven Spielberg's name out here when not really realizing that Steven didn't even direct this film at all. This is completely absurd. If he'd done even the slightest amount of research, he would have realized this. But of course, Sloan didn't actually care to do that because he just wants to spread a narrative on Steven Spielberg once again, despite the fact that he didn't actually direct this film at all. So now Sloan is 0 for 2 on actually proving that either the people that he's discussed here are what he says they are. He's failed to prove that the Illuminati exists and that Jim Carrey was a whistleblower for them, and he also failed to prove that Ariana Grande was in a relationship with Jim Carrey. He also failed to substantiate his claim that Steven Spielberg caused the death of Heather Rourke and also mistook him as the director of Poltergeist, when in actuality, like I said before, Tobe Hooper directed that film. Thankfully, being someone who is incredibly well versed on both film history and the film industry, it's very easy for me to call out Sloan's lies here. Now that we've debunked his lies about both Steven Spielberg and Jim Carrey, let's look at another person he talked about, that being James Gunn. In particular, he tried to talk about James Gunn's tweets that everyone was talking about from about 10 years ago now. Given everything we've already covered here, you can already probably imagine the angle that Sloan took with this, so let's look at his video on James Gunn.
James Gunn is a creepy director who's gotten away with a lot. He's made horrific jokes about little boys and little girls. It's clear that James also has issues with racism because of his awful tweets. And even though he was fired for his statements, Disney hired him again. So let's get into it. This man was literally fired from his job because his tweets were so offensive, which I don't understand why people feel like they can really just tweet out anything and get away with it. In a single day, James Gunn went from an acclaimed writer and director of one of Marvel's most successful and beloved franchises to fired. And of course, Twitter is to blame. Here are a few more tweets, like this one. My new film, Jerk Loose, a small town where beating off is illegal, and one high school kid jerks off in front of the other ones to show them how fun it is. These celebrities like Chrissy Teigen and Hailey Bieber and James Gunn, they can go and delete their tweets or delete their Twitter accounts, but they never go away. I burnt my tongue on an enchilada. Effing Mexicans.
Wow, so you think because James Gunn burnt his tongue on an enchilada and tweeted out joking about it, he's somehow racist because of that? That's a pretty steep conclusion to come to, not gonna lie. Also ironic when you consider the fact that by far one of the more tame things that's included in this series of tweets that supposedly got him fired from Disney. For those unaware, a big reason why these tweets started being brought up to begin with and caused this whole thing between Disney and James Gunn actually starts with James Gunn being a very outspoken critic of Donald Trump. In 2018, James Gunn made a lot of different statements criticizing Donald Trump, which in turn caused a lot of members of MAGA and general Trump supporters overall to try and take him down several notches by bringing up all these past tweets, most of which were from 2009, 2010, some in 2011. Now, while most of these tweets are pretty blatantly, pointlessly edgy and not actually funny whatsoever, there are two things to keep in mind here. This was the late 2000s and the beginning of the 2010s, and that edgy era of the 2000s was still very fresh in the air. Even just in 2009, Eminem had released his Relapse album where he talks about having 17 400 assaults and 4 murders on the song Crack a Bottle. He also references many different serial killers and cinematic slashers, as well as talking about drinking blood, drinking urine, and also having sex with conjoined lesbian twins. This really was still the era of edgy in a lot of different ways. So while it doesn't excuse it, this was sort of the era that James Gunn's tweets really fit into. And also, probably most importantly, James Gunn has actively apologized for making these tweets in the past and shown pretty clearly he's not proud of what he did. He very clearly has changed as a person, and this is a big reason why he actually got rehired at Disney to begin with. The entire cast of Guardians of the Galaxy, like Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper, and all the rest, really loved working with James Gunn and could tell he was just a good person. They knew it was unfair of Disney to fire James Gunn for things he'd said almost a decade ago when clearly he was a much different person. And that's really why he was able to come back, because he proved to so many people that he does have integrity and good character. So Sloan also trying to take aim at James Gunn for these tweets and trying to act like he's some kind of creep because of that is honestly really disgusting. If James Gunn actually was a creep or some kind of bad person, then the actors he'd worked with wouldn't be lobbying for him to come back. That makes absolutely zero sense.
This is just so like, ugh. Such a nasty thing to think of and then to publicly state. New poll, 9/11 jokes, always in poor taste or sometimes funny. Additional question, more or less offensive than Holocaust jokes, which if you're making jokes about these things at this point, then maybe you're just not like crafted or talented in comedy.
Wow, okay, that's real rich coming from the guy whose career is just to lie about people and try to convince people of these different conspiracy theories. And all the while happily accepting packages from people that believe your lies. This is ridiculous. James Gunn is 5 times the man that Sloan will ever be, and far more talented and successful too. I'm getting the feeling that Sloan might just be a little jealous here.
And of course, there are handfuls of tweets involving other celebrities. Retweet, the first time I masturbated to Justin Bieber, it was a joke, but now I can't stop. He's like jerk off crack.
This literally says fake retweet. Why are you citing this as an actual tweet that he put out? Once again, a great example of Sloan not actually bothering to do any research on the things he's talking about here.
Maybe James could be rehabilitated and he doesn't have those thoughts anymore, but this standard kind of sets a precedent because there are other celebrities like Roseanne Barr, who she tweeted some really awful things, kind of like racist things, and she was fired from her show and nobody stood up for her. So when she saw that people were standing up for James Gunn, she was kind of pissed off because she felt like she didn't get the same treatment. And there are a lot of celebrities out here who were called out for their horrible tweets and just completely blacklisted, and they've disappeared. So it does seem like James did get special treatment. I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. I am so tired of these dirty people on Twitter. I hope that everyone has learned their lesson that they cannot tweet things like this. It's not okay. Chrissy Teigen, Haley Baldwin. People need to straighten up their act on the internet. But let's go ahead and open this P.O. Box package item. I actually saved it for last.
Wow, alright then. I love how he ends this video off as well, opening yet another P.O. Box package. Sloan spent the entirety of this video lying about James Gunn, and now he's happily opening up a package from a fan. Wow. Journalist of the Year here, everybody. Once again, Sloan has very provably lied about Steven Spielberg, Jim Carrey, and James Gunn, and also failed to produce any evidence to substantiate the claims that he made against them. He might be one of the worst Griftly Bears that I've had to cover on this series simply because he so blatantly lies so often, but a lot of people do believe what he said. And when he's perpetuating conspiracy theories from places like QAnon and also talking about the Illuminati, that's pretty concerning. Thankfully though, me doing these videos in general has been able to diminish a lot of the grifter's influence. Channels like Geeks and Gamers, Clownfish TV, Melanie Mac, and plenty of others have seen a lot of diminishing returns, and some of them have left the platform entirely. It seems these videos have caused a lot of people to wisen up to the fact that these grifters often don't really know what they're talking about at all and are often full of crap. I'm glad my efforts seem to be paying off, and I appreciate y'all watching this series and learning from it overall. I'm more than happy to keep hunting Griftly Bears. As for my next videos, I'll be reviewing Zootopia 2 next, even though I've already seen it thanks to a press screening. I'll probably be discussing that this weekend. I'll also be ranking all of James Gunn's films and all the Nickelodeon movies too, so stay tuned for that. But what do you think about Sloan? Am I wrong? Am I a gay furry? Is Sloan actually right about the stuff he says about people? Let me know in the comments below. Regardless, thank you for coming to the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed it or learned something new from it. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like and also consider subscribing as well. I do a lot of videos like this in general, often talking about media criticism and film, animation, and video games overall, so if you like this video, you'll probably like the other videos I have planned as well. Feel free to check me out on all my my socials linked down below as well. I'm on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, all the things. You can also check out my Letterboxd where I do full written movie reviews as well. You can also check out my Discord where we can hang out with a lot of like-minded folks in general. Special thanks to all my YouTube members and patrons who keep me doing what I do here monetarily. I appreciate y'all a ton, and I appreciate you for coming to the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it or learned something new from it. But for now, I've been Otterly Noah, and I'll see you on the Otter side. Bye!